Synthaholics.
Welcome to Synthaholics. Today we are at a very landmark episode. Today it's myself, Aaron O'Brien, and as always, David Duncan. What's up, Dave?
This is Synthaholics.
This is Dave. Today we have reached our birthday of our 300th episode.
And we're really close to the birthday since we started in March. So, we're not that far away from what would be our, 7th birthday? 6th birthday? Something like that. Good God, I don't know how long it's been. Many moons.
300. Yes. It's, There's our 300 episode trumpet announcement.
Trumpet announcement. Oh, so this would have been this would be our 6th birthday coming up.
Wow, it's crazy. So this is an episode I thought we should just take time to reflect, talk, because not only are we hit the 300 episode, that Dave and I are going to take a little break with the podcast, and we're going to kind of reorganize and decide what we want to do, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that during this episode, and just talk about why we want to change gears as well, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's been interesting. We started Synthaholics before all the CBS All Access new content was coming out. We were kind of living in this like desert wasteland of new content for Star Trek. I think we had Star Trek Beyond came on during the time that we were doing our podcast, but before that,
yeah, Star Trek Beyond came out about a year into the podcast because we had been laid off from Yahoo, and that was our first podcast in a while together, sitting in the parking lot, right after we saw the movie, steaming up the windows and making people come check on us and talking about horse semen for some reason.
That's right. It was a time where we were like we were trying to. We were excited for Star Trek, obviously, because we were big fans of it, and we were even going into a lot of the fan-produced stuff. So I think we talked about
Renegades.
Star Trek Renegades, and then there was Captain Pike thing that we were part of, but that never panned out.
And that
Axanar was a thing.
Yeah, and that just was a giant hot mess, which got the fan film rules imposed upon us, and us. I guess us, the fans, us, the people who were creating the content for the Star Trek fan films.
But we did get Star Trek Continues, which was wonderful, too. That happened sometime during that period as well.
And we got to meet and have a couple shows with the wonderful Michelle Specht and Kipley Brown. And
yeah, a whole bunch of people. So we got to talk to a lot of them, and it was fun. Those episodes are highly enjoyable. So, but and then we obviously got into the CBS All Access with Discovery and Picard and Lower Decks, and we've had our ups and downs with it, and I don't know. I think you and I have decided that maybe it's better if we step back from the Star Trek franchise a bit, because it's not doing a lot for us.
Yeah, it's personally just not doing a lot for either one of us, and the way the show is designed now, it's just so frustrating to watch the show week to week and talk about it, because it's like they're like, I've been saying this for a little bit now, at least on Facebook. I don't know if I've said it out loud on the podcast, but it's like these seasons are like a 2-part episode. They spread out over 10 to 15 parts. And I don't know, like, because Stuart brought up a really good idea, like when he was talking with us about Discovery season 3 as a whole, and he's like, the the whole Kelpian, screaming and it causing a thing. He's like, that's like a classic TNG episode. And I'm like, thinking about it, yeah, it kind of is, but that'd be like a 1 or 2 parter at most. Them stretching this out over so much time is just antithesis of what Star Trek should be or could be.
Right.
And it's just kind of frustrating to watch it because they just slow burn it. And Kurtzman is under that school of J.J. Abrams' mystery box bullshit that is not fun or good and needs to die in a fire and be buried.
Well, it has its place once in a while, but you can't just keep on hashing out the same thing over and over again. And not just that, it's just that it's the ideas aren't that incredible. Like if you're going to do a whole season, let's really like knock our socks off and think of some really crazy ideas to explore or some moral quandary for us to explore. And we just don't get any of that. And we would get that before, and not every Star Trek episode, but, probably out of every, 5 episodes, you get like a really, showstopper, for most series, your mileage may vary on some, but we just kind of got to this point where we're just not super excited what we're seeing. And in Star Trek Picard, we had high hopes, and that was kind of just boring. There were some fun developments during it, but it wasn't anything that I want to continue to devote my time to. And I know you feel the same way too.
Yeah, I think when we address Star Trek in the future, we'll probably just take it in larger chunks and just kind of talk about our feelings. Because I think it'll be a lot easier for us to digest and talk about and see the whole picture instead of just grasping at straws and then never being dumb enough to predict how dumb their plot's going to go. Because, I would have never predicted Kelpian child screaming causes burn because it just doesn't make any sense.
And it's just not that satisfying.
It came out of nowhere.
Right. And I don't know. So, we feel disappointed in how, I know I feel disappointed in how I feel, but I know we feel disappointed in these series. We both enjoyed Lower Decks immensely. Yeah, Lower Decks
was a lot of fun. That was a huge surprise at how fun this was. And it just kind of goes to show that it seems like Kurtzman was nowhere near this show, probably.
Yeah, right. And Strange New Worlds looks very promising. I have high hopes for that as well. I'm not really excited for Star Trek Prodigy. I'll watch it, but I'm not probably gonna if it's not really my thing. I'm probably not gonna go crazy and watch every episode. Sorry. I don't know. It's difficult because you and I really love the franchise of Star Trek, and warts and all. We know there's some stinker episodes out there.
These DS9, If Wishes Were Horses, that is a awful episode, but it's also kind of one of my guilty pleasure episodes because you got O'Brien arguing the Rumpelstiltskin. What the hell is that? But it's kind of amazing how bad it is.
Yeah.
But it's got characters you love, and I just. I'm in season 4 of Deep Space Nine. I've basically been binging it. I don't know. I guess I started before an episode or 2 ago, and or my wife and I are already through season 4, and it's the first Star Trek she likes other than the original series. She watched Picard with me and hated it. She's watched Discovery season 1, part of season 2, and all of season 3 with me. She hated it all.
Yeah.
And this is the first Star Trek she I was at work, working from home the night, and she put it on without me, and I was I'm halfway paying attention to work, looking behind my shoulder, want to watch Deep Space Nine.
Right.
And it's just night and day because there's characters on the show. It's got one of the largest casts of any Star Trek show, with a big main cast and lots of recurring extras like Garrick and Gul Dukat.
Yeah.
And
fantastic characters,
Zial.
And lots of crazy developments, and not a serialized story, but a story that kind of just keeps on, a plot that kind of moves along through these episodic shows, and it works.
It does get more serialized as it goes on, but it's still episodic in nature. You can still watch an episode and oh, it was fun. Seeing it in its whole is definitely better. But these new shows, these new Star Trek shows, you can't really watch them out of order. Still, I think the Harry Mudd episode is the only one that can kind of be taken on its own.
Right.
Even after 3 seasons. I mean, I guess the first couple episodes of season 2 were kind of episodic, but then they just fell right in line with, like, it's all super connected, so you kind of have to watch week to week. And that would be fine. I wouldn't mind a week-to-week show where you have to watch the previous week to know what's going on if there was, like, interesting things going on. And it's just kind of, like, dull. And I just, I wish there was something other than it being Star Trek keeping me watching this, like, it being good.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's how I feel about it, too. It's like I'm watching it because it's Star Trek, but it's not really it's not giving me any boost or any excitement. I'm watching it because I feel obligated because I've loved the whole series or franchise for so long, and I'm hoping something gets good. And I mean, it has glimmers of things that are exciting or nice or things I like. And characters I like, but there's not anything that makes me go like, man, I got to tune in for next week. It's more of just like,
why couldn't Osira be Gul Dukat? Why couldn't she be the Gul Dukat of the series? Why did they introduce her,
and then kill her,
and then she has this plan where she wants to join the Federation? That could have been like a multi-series arc where she's always trying to, we gotta, like, she keeps altering the deal and, like, gets them to sign it, or maybe they do sign it, then they have to, try to annul it. They could have done a Gul Dukat thing with her. That would have been great.
Right.
I mean, and, they've also just dropped the ball on just lore and stuff between the characters because we've had Tendi in Lower Decks. We got no Orion lore in that, except for, I guess, they're not all pirates anymore. I guess where they used to be, like, 5 years previous, and then we've got her. But, I mean, she's just generic bad guy number 4 or whatever. She's got no depth or character or backstory or lore about her race, anything. And it's just like we've got Deep Space Nine, where Quark goes back home and deals with his mom who wants to wear clothes and, like, is making profit. And, like, these characters have, like, background and depth and lore and their own reasons for doing things. And there's the culture that they're in. Like, I just watched an episode of Deep Space Nine where they go find Gul Dukat and Kira go find this crashed Kardashian ship, and they find his daughter, and he's talking about their burial rites and, like, how it's, we don't let anyone but Cardassians see the body. Like, just lore, like, what's going on. There's almost nothing like this in Star Trek Discovery.
Not a lot, and even the stuff that is kind of there is kind of two-dimensional, like the Kelpian and Baloo or whatever the race that was ruling them was so. First of all, it was unconscionable that they would have allowed that to go on as long as they did. I mean, the Federation, because they end up getting into the mix anyways. And I know the Prime Directive and all that shit, but that's all bullshit too, because, Captain Georgiou comes and gets Saru off of Kelpian because he strings together a radio. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean,
like, I shared an article from Screen Rant. I know a lot of people hate Screen Rant. I got a lot of people.
I don't understand, why do people hate Screen Rant so much? It doesn't bother me at all.
But it was titled something about, like, Roddenberry's. There's 4 things for to make a perfect Star Trek episode, and Roddenberry. I've said it many times before on the podcast. I don't idolize Roddenberry specifically. I feel like he's a George Lucas type where he had a great general idea, but he's terrible at the specifics.
Right. And he had a lot of character flaws.
Yes. Yeah. He invented Star Trek, and that was awesome, but he definitely had character flaws. His ideas for some things weren't, like, the most solid, and it shows. But the show, one of the things they cited in that Screen Rant article was believability. And yes, it's science fiction. You have to suspend your disbelief because it is, like, out there in future tech and stuff like that. And for most Star Trek, I can. But then you get episodes like Threshold, where it's just so dumb you can't, like, wrap your head around it. So I mean, when they push you beyond the believability, where you cannot no longer suspend your disbelief, that's where I start to fall off. And Star Trek generally kept you inside, and every now and then, like, there'd be an episode like Threshold or the Omega Particle or whatever that would push you outside that, like, believability bubble you've established. But for the most part, most of Discovery and Picard are just outside of this, believability zone. And beyond the story feeling incomplete to me and to Aaron and uninspired and unemotional. I mean, they're crying all the time, but I feel nothing but like, why are they crying again? It doesn't tug at my heartstrings seeing other people cry. When I feel attached to a character, that's when and something bad happens to him. I mean, like some of those O'Brien Must Suffer episodes are fucking tough. Like when he loses his daughter, for like 15 years, or it's 15 years to her, and then like he's got to give her up. I mean, like that's heartbreaking. Like he was in prison for 50 years and he's going to off himself because he can't adjust to being back. I mean, that's powerful stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
Nothing comes close to this in Discovery at all. And this, watching them cry doesn't make me sad because I don't care. They haven't made me care yet.
They haven't earned it. Yeah, they haven't earned that.
Exactly, they haven't earned it.
And
because
with
there's
O'Brien,
been no character development.
With O'Brien, we saw them in Next Gen, and we saw them kind of like progress, and we saw his daughter being born with Worf and all that stuff. So I mean,
and Forward, that was great.
There's so many things that you'd be like, wow, he had such a great character arc, and so when things happened, or you if you were invested, you knew. So, and some people could say, Dave, that Discovery characters or the Picard characters, they just haven't had time to gestate long enough to come into their own. I would argue by now most Discovery characters should be there, and some characters I like more than others.
But we're 3 seasons in and we only are like 1.5 seasons worth of Star Trek because of the short seasons.
Sure, that's true.
But at the same time, they're also not trying to develop their characters because all they care about is Michael Burnham in Discovery. And then in Picard, the show that we expected to be all about Picard was all about Soji.
Right.
And Narek and forgettable Romulan number 6. I mean, like, it was just, they just jump to these conclusions and they expect us to care, and I just don't. They haven't earned these emotional payoffs they keep trying to force through on the screen, and it's just disappointing. I mean, someone I was arguing with on Facebook was saying, "Oh, like Deep Space Nine is just like Discovery." I'm like, how? You've got episodes devoted to Nog, who is not a main build character, who's only a recurring character every now and then. Nog is hugely important. I mean, he's Jake's friend, and he does join Starfleet as the first Ferengi, but he's a side character, and he's got multiple episodes just about him, and he's not even in the main crawl for the credits. I mean, people who are billed in the credits for Discovery barely get 5 minutes of screen time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just it's night and day different, and without the ensemble that Star Trek usually is provided, the show just has a lot less depth than it ever used to. Sure, I don't like Jake Sisko episodes often, but they have a purpose.
Right.
Some people might love Jake Sisko.
Right. I guess in pulling away from it feels right. And maybe it's just one of those things where like we tried and it's not working out. And the thing is I know some people are, avid fans of these new episodes. And, if this is what you like, that's cool. We're all entitled to what we want and to see. It's just that I think Dave and I feel like we're at this point where we've subjected ourselves long enough. And not that we won't ever talk about these, new series again. It's just that I don't think we want to put all our energy into it anymore. And the fandom is so bizarre. I mean, I'm not for the toxic fandom that's out there, the people who just bash things just because they don't like, the representation of different, people or I don't know, maybe they just don't like new things. I'm not really sure where it all stems from. But I'm not for the fandom that just, just because it has Star Trek slapped on it, it means it's great. That doesn't that doesn't jive with me either. So,
but it's also the Star Wars fandom too. It's so bizarre.
Oh yeah,
I don't understand what's happened in the past 10 or 15 years, or maybe even 6 years.
Social media has given everyone a voice, and unfortunately, we've noticed that there's a lot of people out there that are just unreasonable. They get behind their keyboards or on their phones, and they can just say whatever they want, and they don't care about if they're like being dicks to anybody else. Whether you're just making fun of a series because you don't like that there's a gay person in it, or you're just making fun of someone because they don't like something, and then you think that they're some kind of homophobe, racist, or something like that. I mean, there's so much in between. There's so much gray area, and people just can write anything they want. They can say whatever they want, and fandom is just off the hook. And obviously, everyone feels entitled to their opinion. But they're so entitled that, as we saw with the new Star Wars trilogy that came out, the fandom just completely tore everything apart. I mean, there's obviously the people that loved all this new stuff and the other people that literally hated everything that they did. So, I don't know. It's really difficult to navigate these waters. It's difficult to enjoy the things because I know the Star Wars that I grew up with or the Star Trek I grew up with is not going to be the same, and I have to accept that. But I also expect a certain modicum of storytelling and of integrity of what those franchises represent. And I got to say, both of them have fallen down quite a bit, in my opinion. They don't quite make the grade as they used to. And don't get me wrong, I'm not defending the prequels either. So prequels have a shit ton of problems. So, but in the same thing with Star Trek. I mean, I grew up with TOS, but there's a ton of TOS that we've talked about it on these episodes. I'll make fun of them, and I think they're shitty, or they were just dumb. And it goes through everything, TNG to DS9 and Voyager. And Enterprise, there's plenty of things to make fun of, and there's plenty of things to praise. It's just that I'm not finding enough to make me want to stay. That's the problem, for me personally. Yeah,
there's not enough good in Kurtzman's Star Trek, and I don't understand what's going on with it. Our good friend Guy Davis, he's on the praise train because, he grew up through all Star Trek like we did. And, he was also one of the naysayers, and at least for Deep Space Nine. I don't know about the other ones. I don't remember exactly what he said, but, where people would be like, oh, this isn't real Star Trek. It's not my character. It's not this. And, it happened with every iteration of Star Trek. And people are saying that all the haters are just going to turn around and love it one day. But I think it's different at this time. I don't think I'm ever going to find a soft spot for Picard or Discovery unless they just massively get so much better that I can forgive the first 3 seasons or whatever. I don't think it's possible because Alex Kurtzman, if he has a track record of bad, I mean, his ambition is trying to do a giant shared universe, and he drove the Amazing Spider-Man franchise into the ground in 2 movies, trying to get a Spider-Man cinematic universe off the ground. Tom Cruise's The Mummy was supposed to be the first of 6 or 7 movies in the monster universe, which Alex Kurtzman was involved in. That also crashed and burned. He's got Star Trek now. And they gave him 5 more years, 3 years ago. And I don't understand why they decided to give this stuff to him. Especially if any of all the negative stuff Midnight's Edge or Doomcock says is remotely true. Why would they have signed him for 5 more years?
Who knows? I mean, these people, they're all they're so in bed with each other. They all love each other, and people have connections, so it makes them more powerful in certain areas with producers and studio execs and stuff like that. But it's more, to me, it's I don't think these people were ever really fans or even wanted to be fans. So, I mean, it just would have been cool if somehow they would have brought back few of the people from before or some of the people involved and got them involved in the story writing or the plotting and stuff like that, just to navigate these episodes better. And I know they've gotten better over time, but I don't know. It's just frustrating because, as we've said, we do love Star Trek. It's just not there, man. Just not for me. And I'm sorry if I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I just don't think it's that good, and it does make me want to spend $8-10 a month on a subscription that I don't really care about. We're doing it because we're doing the podcast, but it's like not that interesting.
Yeah, and then also, like, since we don't work at the same job anymore, there's a global pandemic, we don't really see each other. And so our one time a week we talk to each other, we're talking about something we're both, like, not enthused
not crazy about.
And it just kind of hurts a little bit because it's like, we're friends. We like to see each other and hang out, and we don't get to. And the one time we do, we're talking about something neither of us are just absolutely in love with the way we thought we would be or hoped we would be for the Star Trek show.
And we
wanted to be.
When this was all announced, we were like, oh, this would be great. And like, what's it called? It's Discovery. Oh, that's a great name. What's the character? Michael Burnham. Oh, that's weird. It's a woman. That's a strange thing. Why would they call her Michael? I don't know. We'll find out. And we were all excited. And I knew Sonequa Martin Green from Walking Dead, and she was fantastic in that.
Fantastic actress.
So I was, yeah, she's a great actress. And then the first couple episodes, and we're like, okay, it's different. It's weird, but we're going to give it a try. And then it just got more and more convoluted, and we just kind of like, I don't know. It's like, hard to explain.
It's like they kept adding weird magic things for Vulcan, like, Sarek can teleport himself across space and time through his Katra or whatever, like making up stuff. Like Tuvok didn't even believe in a Katra. And and Sarek, who's alive during the same time Tuvok is teleporting his Katra across the universe to talk to Michael. Everything in Discovery is getting like way more magicized. Like Vulcans are way more magicized. Now Trills are magic, or at least the Trill symbionts magic, because somehow they're gonna try to bring Gray back next season, even though he's dead.
And that's the other thing is like I find the science, and I know they made up a lot of shit for all these, or they stretched the science as far as they could for certain episodes and for all the series. But I find the science highly dubious in a lot of things that they're dealing with, and the mycelium network. I don't really understand. I've tried to give it, like, I understand where it stems from, where the idea of, mycelium or mushrooms, fungi runs through, like, their root system goes all over the place in a forest or in nature. But why does it go through space? And what is it? Like, is it, it's so, like, it's not like a real thing. It's like a magic road or something like that. It's like Thor in his was it the
Rainbow Gateway or whatever,
the Rainbow Bridge, that kind of thing, and how they travel from all the different Bifrosts and stuff like that. It's like this is all made up. Like I don't know. It's weird to me. So it's like what. I'm willing to suspend my disbelief.
It's weird. In the comic book, we can just suspend it because that's just the magic they made it for the comic book. But Star Trek was supposed to be grounded in real science, and when it starts to get magic-y, it just feels wrong.
I know. I feel the same way, and I get frustrated because I don't expect like it to be hard, fast science all the time, but it seems like they're just like, let's just make things up and be as crazy as we want, and sometimes it works, but other times just like, okay, you're going to hang your hat all on this now, okay, and whatever. I can let a lot of things go, obviously. I mean, it's science fiction. It's fiction. So, but it frustrates me. So, yeah, instead of just harping on why we don't like it, I think we should just, that's kind of where we're at. We're just going to step away from that stuff. As for the podcast, Dave and I have not decided really what direction. I know we want to talk about things we like again, and maybe that's movies or other TV shows. I mean, we did enjoy talking about The Expanse.
God, I mean, I want to get back to it, and we kind of promised people we'd get back to it, but that might be a little bit coming due to the break. But I mean, season 5's been fucking amazing. I haven't watched the last episode of season 5 yet. I can't wait. I can't wait for season 6. I'm not there yet.
I think I'm still in season 3.
God, it's just such a great show. Like, that's the thing. Like, I'm like so excited for more Expanse. I'm so excited for more The Boys. I am not really looking forward to next season of Star Trek Discovery. Like, there's a new article coming out that says, it's season 4 is going to have the first season with an all-female bridge crew. Like, what are they going to kill the Asian guy and the black? I'm sorry, I can't remember their names because they're barely ever named on the show. So they should have killed them off, or are they going to just put them lower decks? Like, what about those two guys?
Yeah.
Or did they not count? Or did they not count as men on the bridge? Like, I don't understand. Yeah. Like, I mean, I just
they don't identify as men.
That's true. Maybe that's true.
But I guess to me, it's more. I just don't want. I don't want to spend time doing things that is not going to resonate with me or resonate with you. And I enjoyed when we talked about Dune. Maybe that was a little bit of a slog. Maybe we should just talked about Dune as one whole book.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what we'll do in the future if we do a book review. It seemed like people. We did get downloads for it, but didn't get as many as Discovery. Maybe people weren't that interested in the Dune book itself.
Or maybe we just spread it out over way too long.
Yeah, possibly. I know there's other Dune podcasts that are out there, so that break down like even more than us. Like they get down like really granular and a lot of stuff. So, but they're complete Dune fanatics kind of thing.
Whereas I'm a Dune noob. I'm a Dune noob.
I mean, I don't know. I just I'm at this point where I think we both need to do a little soul searching, and we got to decide what we want to do with this podcast and everything else. I think we've had a lot of fun. That's for sure.
Yeah, because we've had some really good episodes. Like, I mean, like talking about. I mean, Joe DePinto, our friend, he's suggested just go back to talking about old Trek.
Yeah, I'm not saying we never would. It seems like that's some of those are 20-some-year-old episodes or older
or 50-something-year-old episodes.
And I love them all, but is there that many demand? I mean, we have, and that's the other thing is there is a glut of podcasts and YouTube channels that are talking about Star Trek, and I'm not saying we don't have a voice and all that, but some of them are much bigger than us. And I don't know what we add to the conversation sometimes other than just our opinion. So I get a little bit like, what's the point here?
We also have our reverent sense of humor, but it seems like most Star Trek fans don't care for that irreverent sense of humor, except for the people who still listen to Synthaholics. You guys are great, who still listen to us.
If you don't mind a butt joke or a dick joke once in a while, or a couple boob jokes thrown in, I mean, come on, it's funny.
It is funny.
It's fun to laugh at the naughty parts, So, I get I think that we need to think about what we want, and Dave and I have been talking a little bit, off mic about ideas. We're not quite there, but we also want a break because. Honestly, we've been talking about this stuff, 300 episodes, almost every week. We've very, very rarely not made like a week that we haven't released.
I mean, more so lately, yeah.
Up until recently, because of we had the holidays hit, and then I think a couple things happened, but we've been pretty regular about hitting our release dates every week. And I don't know. I love I love our conversations, and we've had a lot of awesome guests come on. I mean, a lot of people I love talking to and just hearing what they say.
I mean, Jen, the thing on Pop Warrior, she's always blessed to have her on. We tried to have her on during Discovery, but she's been really busy with life, and she's got a new EP coming out, so that cool. Kickstarter actually just ended. I wish I would have mentioned that earlier, but I did. I was on the Kickstarter, picked out shirt size yesterday for it.
Yeah, and, like we've had a couple episodes back, we had Stuart from Trek Yards, and we've had Samuel as well in the past. Larry Nemechek,
Guy Davis all the time.
Guy Davis, so many times Guy Davis has come in to guest with us and just talk Trek or talk whatever we're talking about.
James Kerwin from Star Trek, he was like in the directing side of Star Trek Continues. Lisa Ansel joined him that time. She did like, I believe, makeup and hair.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
On
They
Star
were
Trek.
both fantastic.
Kipley a couple times. I mean, I still want to have her back at some point so we can finally do that. What's the one after Prometheus? Because she had her whole talk about Prometheus. We had the whole like awesome metaphysical talk, like the double slit experiment and would androids be aware of it? I mean, like we've had such great conversations and great times, and then we had Michelle Speck to talk about the Data Offspring episode, and I made that joke where she wanted to jump through the mic and strangle me when I was like, "Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again?"
Yeah. I know we've had so many great people, and I don't know. It's been great, but it just I don't want to do things that are. I'd rather have those conversations. I'd rather get guests with fascinating ideas or great ways of looking at the universe than just talk about a TV series and rate it how we liked it or didn't like it. That's. I love talking about the big ideas. I love talking about the ethics and the morality of things. I don't want to get into the nuance of like, was this plot point stupid or good?
Yeah.
It gets just mundane, and it's just like I mean, if we talk about
we should pivot to be a philosophy podcast.
Well, I don't know about that, but we should. And maybe we talk about bigger ideas, and maybe we talk about like a book like that we want to talk about, like a bigger book, and talk about its implications and all the things that go with it, what makes a book great. Like you want to talk about Wheel of Time and stuff like that. So we could get into Wheel of Time and just break out what's great about it and what's the possibilities of that. I mean, we talked about last episode.
The show keeps getting pushed back, so we might be able to like finish the first book before the first season comes out. True
enough. Yeah. I mean, we talked about Tenet, and we talked about like, time and all that stuff, which was that was interesting. I mean, the movie's really off the wall in some ways, but I think the ideas and the concepts are great to explore.
It was fun to talk about. Although apparently some people really hated it because we got a couple comments we got when we posted like, "Oh, this is a terrible movie."
This is a boring movie, so stupid. I don't agree with them, but I noticed Christopher Nolan has some detractors for some reason. I don't know what he's ever done to people, but
his audio mixing is terrible. That's what he's done to people. He's made our ears bleed.
Blew my eardrums out.
I
know, right? Yeah. So, and there's other things. Dave is a big video game player, so he loves all sorts of games going back. Probably 20 years of gaming that you are into, all sorts of games you'd probably love to talk about.
Speaking of games, I made a Twitch channel for Synthaholics years ago.
Cool.
My old computer was not up to the task of streaming, so I abandoned it quickly. I didn't have a webcam. Even without the webcam, just trying to do voiceover. Like, I don't think the stream came out very good. I think I tried to stream like Civ 5 or something. Maybe Civ 6, because it had just come out, I think. But
I am taking over the Japanese now.
Man, I tried to win as Japan so many times. I lost, and then my wife actually was I can't remember who she was playing, but we were playing as a team, so she made giant robots and won, and I was just there.
I always play the Zulus. And I do great in the beginning, and then I fall apart later on because somehow they're great at the beginning warriors, and then they don't really something stymies that in the middle of it. I don't know why, but that's probably Civ 5 or I think it's 5 that I played a lot. I can't. It's been a while. Go ahead.
I do want to try to do the streaming thing again. It may not be the most technically nice. I don't have a webcam yet or anything like that, but I was thinking trying to do some streaming soonish. I don't know, within a month or so, maybe within weeks or so. I don't know, but it would be twitch.tv/Synthaholics. I mean, it's going to be under a name because Aaron and I had talked. He definitely wants to keep the name because we had talked about rebranding, changing the name or whatever. So, I mean, I'll probably nerd out about Star Trek or whatever while I'm playing whatever game I'm playing. Mass Effect Trilogy which I brought up a lot during the Picard, at least during the last couple episodes of Picard, is being re-released and remastered come May 14th or 15th. I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but sometime this summer. And I want to try to start streaming before then so that I have some people following, so hopefully some of you guys following the Twitch channel, and then I want to play through Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 all streamed. And it's, to me, that's some of the best science fiction that's ever come out since Deep Space Nine. And The Expanse is really close to being the next best science fiction that's come out since Deep Space Nine. So that's kind of what I'm kind of hoping to do in the nearest future. So I hope you guys will want to check that out.
Yeah, check that out. Yeah, and what's the address again for that, for your handle for Twitch?
Yeah, it's going to be twitch.tv/Synthaholics. So, I mean, whatever the normal URL is for the beginning /Synthaholics. So just our name. I've got it linked on the show notes for this episode. So you can just go preemptively follow it if you are someone who follows Twitch. And click on it's live. And I was thinking I'd also update the website and our Facebook page when I do finally start streaming, so that you guys are aware of it. Because I mean, we're not going anywhere. I mean, Aaron and I will still be talking. We'll still be on our channel, sharing memes and silly stuff and Star Trek news. We will still be active on social media as we've ever been. I assume
we're just going to take a break from recording for a little bit. That's all.
Yeah.
Just find our footing.
So we'll be around. You can always email us at synthaholics@yahoo.com. Hopefully my game streaming will be something you're interested in. And like Mass Effect, I'll probably talk about Star Trek a bunch during Mass Effect because it's, near and dear to my heart. And, Cyberpunk 2077, I'm still waiting for them to fix it. I might start a new character that doesn't rely on crafting, maybe to play some of that on Overstream. Or, I mean, there's lots of games I'm interested in. There's a survival game called Raft I like a lot. I mean, I could do a lot of different stuff on Twitch. It would probably have to be on my days off because I work weird hours. But I do hope to start that up and kind of, because it was something I had always wanted to do. Just my old computer wasn't up to the task, and I'm hoping my new one will perform much better.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. I hope you have fun doing that, and maybe people can chime in and want to join, and I don't know, maybe there's a community there to get involved. I
think that would be interesting if we can build a community there and just tell them, oh yeah, go listen to our old 300 episodes, and we'll be back for more podcasts later. So I mean, maybe we can grow inadvertently through a different platform. Who knows? I don't know.
And so you do the video games. I'm big into comics. I love the Marvel stuff, DC stuff, hot and cold on some of the stuff, but I'm more into offbeat comic stuff, and I love sci-fi comics, and I'm into tabletop role-playing games. Those are things I like as well, so maybe there's things we can talk about in the future dealing with that. I
love old school D&D. I mean, I've played mostly 3.5 and some 4.0.
Yeah, and I'm currently I'm running an online Zoom game with some friends with D&D, 5th edition. And that's been fun because I haven't DM'd in a long time, so it's taken a lot for me to get back into the swing of things. So, but yeah, anyway, so there's those things. Maybe we can devote some time into things like that, but I'm not sure yet. I mean, Dave and I just want to talk about things that we want and decide. Maybe we get different guests. Maybe we talk about books or video games or anything, and we try to get more just energy back into what we're doing. Because I think, covering all this the CBS stuff didn't really do much for our morale. So
yeah, it's been a tough couple of years, a little bit. I mean, I think the most excited we've been was the last couple episodes, talking with Stuart, talking about Tenet, and then talking about The Expanse. Honestly, I think those are some of the most excited we've been talking about things recently. And Lower Decks, we definitely had some good times with that.
I love talking about Lower Decks, yeah. But that was far too short, yeah.
Yeah, it was over far too fast. So, yeah, I think, we want to get into stuff. We want to be happier and excited and provide more value. I mean, like,
and I don't want to darken someone's doorstep because I don't like Discovery or Picard or whatever else may come out. I mean, I get it. Some people love it. That's great. But we're gonna have to like figure out something else too. So I mean, I don't know. It's difficult. It's like we're kind of have to change gears, and that's why we're just gonna take that little time off to kind of figure out what we want. And hey, guys, if you have ideas or thoughts, please chime in. Let us know. We're still available. We're not dead. We're just gonna take that break like we said.
Our email box is still open. Our social media box is still open. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. You can send us a direct message through Facebook, through our Facebook group. I mean, we're not going anywhere. We're just gonna take some time, regroup, think about what we really want to do. I mean, Wheel of Time is a big passion for me. I do want to reread the books for the show coming out, and the show keeps getting delayed because COVID is the gift that keeps on giving.
Right, right.
For entertainment. And, going over books and stuff like that might be something we might need to be looking forward to in the nearish future, considering like COVID has derailed almost everything. I mean,
yeah.
Black Widow's been pushed back for the 600th time, and
right. Yeah, I know.
Like, who knows about the other, Marvel movies coming out that, we're both, we both enjoy watching those, and, some are better than
Dune,
others.
like, we thought we wouldn't finish the book Dune before the movie came out, and here we are. We've we're not even talking about that book anymore, and it's like we still haven't seen the movie.
I mean,
so,
we got like a year left waiting for the movie. Isn't it coming out like end of next year or something like that? Or
I have no idea.
I can't remember what they pushed it back to. It was either like the end of next year, like summer of the year after that. Like, it's a really long. It feels like it's a really long ways away. So,
is, yeah.
I mean, we definitely want to cover that because we love Dune. We loved talking about Jodorowsky's Dune that one time. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, we just want to get the show like way more upbeat, like it used to be. I mean, like, I don't know, like, I mean, listening back some of our old episodes is just like we were way more upbeat and way more excited than we've been recently. So I think we want to like get some of that old energy back.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, and we just laugh our ass off at things and not worry about people getting angry that we made some joke about something. Alcohol did help. Yeah,
it used to always make us like a giant 5-shot Long Island iced tea, and
I know.
God, like it's been
stumbling out of your apartment
at 2:00 in the morning.
I'll see you next week.
See you next week, man. Yeah, like we haven't done that in like 3 years. I mean, like it was every week for a while, and then I moved, and then got married, and COVID happened, and it's just like
one thing after another.
And then also Aaron got his job, so I mean, lots of things in life just kind of like kept knocking us back. And lately, it's just been COVID.
Yeah, and who knows when COVID's actually going to get like to a point where it's like we're back to normal. So,
but man, there's also a little bit of the energy because we used to be in the same room, drinking together, laughing together, and over online. I mean, you felt it. Doing your own Zoom meetings with family. It's just weird. It's not the same being in the same room with someone and laughing and talking. And we like doing it. And this is what we've been having to do, doing it remote for. God, we've been remote for like 2 or 3 years, more often than not.
Yeah. Right.
So, I mean, we'll still be remote for a long time, I'm sure, once we come back, because like Aaron's just said, we don't know when COVID's going away. Who knows if it will anytime soon. So, we are, we're looking forward to doing that again, hanging out, drinking together. And I think that'll help bring energy. That'll bring some energy back. And also talking about something.
Alcohol brings energy.
Yes, that's what Jolt's for too.
Jolt. Oh my god.
Jolt.
Do they make that still?
I wish. I don't know. I haven't seen it in years.
I haven't seen that since the 80s, so I thought they had it like they brought it back for a minute.
They did. I mean, my first apartment in Buffalo, it was right near a gas station that sold Jolt. I would go pick some up.
Oh, really?
Time cable.
Okay,
yeah.
So So that was going.
That gas
back a couple
station is now
years,
leveled, though. It's just a parking lot now, so there's no
too many
Jolt.
cans of Jolt.
There's
there
no
and it
yeah.
exploded.
They found out they were selling Jolt illegally, and they just bulldozed the place.
Burn that place down. What about the gasoline? Fuck the gasoline.
People can't have Jolt anymore.
Yeah, it definitely helps to be face to face or in the same room, and that has been a detractor for sure. And honestly, we say and do some inappropriate things sometimes, or get a little too silly for some people's taste. So that could be a lot to do with, like you said, the fandom. I have noticed. I thought fandom just liked silly things like I did, but there's a lot of people who are a little more stodgy than us. So they don't like jokes that we make. So.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, some people do. I mean, we do have our steady listeners. We've had basically the same number of listeners since we've started the show till now. I mean, like our listens are very consistent. They've never really grown and they've never really shrunken. We've got a very consistent follower fans. We appreciate the hell out of all of you guys who listen to us every week.
And I always love to hear when you guys chime in and tell us something about that you like something, or you had a laugh, or just your thoughts on things. You want to tell us what you think about a series or an episode or something like that. So that I love hearing all that stuff. It's great. It's great.
I mean that's why we developed the podcast and the Facebook group, because we want that input coming back. We want the hear from the fans of Star Trek and what you like about stuff. It's not just about us. And that's I mean, at our job we worked at a whole bunch of nerds, but we were still the only nerds that really like Star Trek. And so,
I know, so weird. People were like, Star Trek, You're like, fuck you. What the fuck do you know?
You guys are all nerds here. Why don't anyone else like Star Trek? Right? Everyone else is
so weird. It's so weird that you had to explain Star Trek to people. Like, how do you not know Star Trek?
It's just weird. Some people are ashamed to admit they like it, or don't even want to get into it. I don't know what it is exactly, but I mean, we wanted to talk about Star Trek because it was something we were passionate about. And we want to talk about other people's Star Trek. And if you guys are as passionate about it as we are, I mean, that's what the group is for. We want you there. And we will still be there. We will still be posting silly stuff and Screen Rant articles, despite how many of you hate the Screen Rant articles. Because, I mean, I think they make good points sometimes. And I think, I was just posting that article because we've been saying something's missing from Discovery. Something's missing from Picard. And this article kind of articulated it a little bit better than maybe I did. So that's why I shared it, and I'm sorry people hated it.
You can't please them all. And I mean, I saw you post the article, and like some people agreed, of course. Some people fought on it, so too. Whatever. I'm not saying no one agreed on it, but it's just funny. Like some people were just like, "Oh, Screen Rant shit." I'm like, really? They didn't even say anything else. They were just complaining that it was a Screen Rant article. So that's what just caught my attention. And I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, whatever you like. But we want the interaction there. It's interesting seeing everyone's take on things, and always happy to talk Trek. So I mean, start your own conversation, start your own thread on the channel, share your own stuff there. I mean, we've got 400-something members, and it's definitely more active lately than it's been, like in the early years. But I mean, like, you guys can talk and start conversations and start threads and stuff as well. Enjoy. It's there to enjoy the fandom. Enjoy absolutely.
Star Trek and all that it is.
It's a forum to talk.
Or science fiction. Okay, so we post Dune and comic book stuff there too. And my Twitch stuff will be going there, so all sorts of stuff will be on our Synthaholics channel, not just Star Trek, but Star Trek is the focus because that's how we started.
Right, absolutely. I love when people chime in and tell us what they think or stuff like that. And we've gotten emails in the past where people have like, oh, thanks for everything, and other times people have been like, not like critical, but they've they've told us what they thought when we've put an opinion out there, and they've come back and say, I don't agree with you, this or that. So, and I just appreciate the different points of view, and I'm glad that people are out there listening. And if you feel something, you need to say something, we're here to, to talk to you and be part of that conversation. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to trying to like map out a new thing out there. So and not sure what form it's going to take. And that's kind of exciting. It's a little weird too because it feels like the floor has been taken out from us.
Yeah, it does feel really weird. It's like, yeah, because we haven't decided a comeback date yet. So it's just kind of like, huh.
Yeah.
It does feel very weird not to be doing this every week. But the thing is, I think when we come back, we'll probably be doing less frequent, also to avoid burnout and to really get into what we're talking about again. And also just life is just nuts.
Oh,
COVID.
yeah.
I mean, like, even though we're stuck at home, it's just like things are nuts in different ways than they've been before. And my wife's in school, so we're podcasting every week will be definitely good for her and her getting to go to sleep.
Yeah, and you've got weird hours. I work a lot, and I have my family, and there's like so many things that like factor into things, and we manage our own lives outside of the podcast, and the podcast's a focus, but it sometimes takes a back seat because we can't focus on all those things because we got so much going on. So maybe if we reorganize and think differently about our episodes and how we're going to release them and what topics we're going to talk about, maybe we'll come up with a new way to deliver too. So that's what I'm excited for too. I think obviously we have the audio format, but we also have the YouTube channel. I mean, there's a video format. I know you're doing video for a long time. You're talking about the Twitch channel. There's that as well. I mean, there's so many ways to go. So, I don't know. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the future. I just want it to be something that we can like find our own way and make everyone, make people excited and have fun and laugh and enjoy the conversation as much as we did. So, because
that's one thing that I don't think we want to change. We definitely want to keep the humor, the irreverence about whatever it is we're talking about, and keep it light and fun. Because I mean, I think that helps the listening experience, being getting a laugh in. I mean, for the longest time during the podcast, like one of my biggest goals was just to make sure I could get a big laugh out of Aaron, just totally unexpected. Because if he's laughing, I'm hoping you guys are laughing too, of some off the wall thing. I know I haven't been as good about that lately, but that was always my goal for a really long time.
Well, you haven't lately because we've been covering things that you're just not that crazy about, and it's hard to be funny about stuff when you're just like, and not just that. It's just like that's who we are. Like, we want to laugh and crack up over stupid shit. We will make a dumb joke and then we'll just take it to a point where it's so ridiculous, either that you're going to like, hate us or laugh with us kind of thing. So
yeah.
I think that's where we are, and we're never going to change. That's just, we love that stuff, and we love being silly. And
if anything, that's the value we add to people out there. I mean, we're as unfiltered as we are because we think it's funny.
Right.
And I'm hoping that's
Shadow
enough.
Mapes and Dune would not be who she is if you didn't have David Duncan reprising that role. So.
Shadow Mapes, she's Cartman. She's got a big baggy tits flying everywhere.
So, yeah, I mean, it's like... I don't know. It's like we need to find that groove again. So, we look forward to hearing anybody what they have to say about maybe directions we should go into. I know some people have chimed in already, but it's something we need to we do some soul searching.
Yeah. And speaking of pitching in, we do have an email from Brad. It's been a while since we've heard from Brad.
Yeah.
I'll read most of this. There's some stuff I just can't read for privacy reasons, but I'll go ahead and read some of it. Congratulations on your 300th episode.
Woo!
This is an incredible feat, and you should be proud of what you've built over the years. The podcast has grown and matured just like you guys have. I think we just talked about how mature we were, but
young to be young at heart.
To be young at heart, yes. And you've made it successful on your own. I look forward to hearing your show every week, and I just want to say thank you for the hours of entertainment you've provided through sharing your passion of science fiction over the years. I did go back and listen to a few of your biggest hits over the years. My favorite will always be Tinker, Tenor, Dr. Spy Potato. God, that was such a fucking good episode. We were so drunk.
I think we were, weren't
we? I think we had a couple of the Long Island iced teas that episode because we had just been laid off from Yahoo during the Great Purge. The Great Purge, and
if you don't know, Yahoo laid off a huge 15% of their staff, and unfortunately Dave and I were part of those cuts.
We were part of that 15%, man. It's bad roll of the dice, man. Really low in that percentile. But good God,
my life.
I need to listen to that again because that was such a fun episode. We were just so off the wall. And I think Voyager lets us do that because it's so ridiculous sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely got silly at certain points, right?
We should get, I think when we come back, we should get sloshed and watch If Wishes Were Horses.
All right. Yeah, I know, right?
Because that's really silly for Deep Space Nine. Let's see. Back to the email. I know it was a bad day for you both, but as I'm sure you know, tragedy and comedy are close friends.
No doubt.
They are, especially when you're drinking. Let's see. I know the show is going through a big change, but I'll be there going forward to support and spread the word about your show. Again, congratulations. I'll definitely be there for episode 400.
Woo.
On other fronts, I'm sad to hear you're taking a break, but I totally understand why. Covering all that mediocre Trek in short order takes a toll on you. With everything else going on both in the world and your own lives, I'm sure you've got a lot to handle. David, adjusting to married life is tough, even with someone you've known for years. Your wedding pictures are beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Aaron, I'm sorry to hear about your teeth in the military. Any injury to your teeth or feet made you unfit for combat. They're just so painful and distracting. Get better soon, buddy.
I know, they suck, man. Teeth. I wish I had gummy bears for teeth. At least they wouldn't break.
Gummy bears, bouncing everywhere. Gummy bears. Wasn't that a show, cartoon or something?
That was. It was a Disney show. Yeah.
They had to drink some a meth concoction to be able to bounce or whatever. It was rainbow.
Yeah, that's
meth.
Exactly what they did. They drank liquid meth. Yeah.
With mushrooms.
Yeah, mushrooms too.
Yeah.
That's teeth suck, man. And the older you get, they just don't get any better.
No better. It got to me too. After I left my job and retired from the military, I became a bit of a recluse. I take care of my family at home, and I don't go out much, and withdrew from everyone. I'm going back to where I need to be, but it's been a rough year all around. It's been rough for all of us, and it's just weird. We were at home, but I still feel as busy as ever. It's just strange.
It doesn't stop. It just means you can't go out and do stuff in public anymore. You have to either be well away from everybody. So, and when it's the middle of winter, you don't stay out for long. So,
oh yeah, Buffalo. Yeah, we're about to get buried tomorrow night. Oh, I guess it'll be tonight for people listening to this the day it comes out. But we're about to get buried. They're saying under some snow. I mean, it usually isn't as bad as they say. And when they say it's nothing, we get 16 feet. Who knows? Who's counting?
Yeah, I know.
I do have, the letter continues. I'm sure you've got plenty of ideas for how the show should go forward, but I'd like to add a few myself. You're totally right about having a format to your reviews, free from works when you edit your discussion to be as cohesive as possible. But one thing that we all love about your show is that you really don't cut much out as far as we can tell. As such, your reviews need to have some kind of guideline. This can help avoid some wandering that conversations can have sometimes. Just a simple list you both stick to would help there. Also include a section where you say some positive things, but it can be more subtle than saying something nice section. Spooky Rise on YouTube does a most disturbing and most enjoyed moments on the films he reviews. It could be something that simple or anything else, or something more clever. Yeah, I mean, I don't cut a lot. Mostly I just cut for us and gaps in time.
Or if we just totally mess something up really bad.
Or if I say something that's just little that could be misconstrued, I might cut that out. But otherwise, we
too
don't
risque.
Really, yeah. And we cut out references to our work, close to when we were working there. It's been years now. It's fine.
Right.
I mean, if you look us up on LinkedIn or look at our Facebook, or you can see our past work was at Yahoo. So, and anyone can put two and two together.
That's long past done. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Yahoo's barely a thing anymore. So.
Number 2, let your episodes have a soft time limit. If they go over, let them be a second or third part. I just watched Red Letter Media's review of Twin Peaks: The Return, and there's no way they could have put it all in one episode. If you run long, it just means you get another episode out of one recording session. I would love to hear you review Battlestar Galactica like that. Each episode doesn't need to be review, but 2 or 3 hours on each season is more than enough to hit the important parts. The pilot probably needs to be its own episode. God, the pilot was 3 hours long.
I know, right?
Yeah, just set everything up. I loved Battlestar Galactica the first 2 seasons. Then it got weird after the first 2 seasons, and then Caprica was a giant mess.
Yeah, I know.
I really wanted to like Caprica, and they just like
it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
it was kind of boring.
They just dragged their feet for forever, and then the show got canceled. People wondered why. I'm like, they had so much promise for Caprica. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, back to the email. I know it's tempting bringing up politics of the day, but it can really hit you, really bite you in retrospect. There are a ton of podcasters and YouTubers who have been disenfranchised because jokes they've made a decade ago are no longer acceptable by today's standards. I stopped reading Penny Arcade over a decade ago because them bringing up some ugly politics into my video game cartoons. And years later, they faced a huge backlash from their fans over another misinterpreted political comment in episode 298. You said you could see the SJW influence of the writer's room for Picard and Discovery, but even pointing that out may cost you listeners in your show. But that sometimes those opinions age like milk. It's better to try to avoid them. I mean, I have no problem with SJW stuff. I just wish they would write good stories. Around it.
That stuff. I mean, I'm all for representation and stuff like that, and people having equality and that. It's just more of I don't try to frame it as SJW either.
I try not to either. But I mean,
those are trigger words for a lot of people. Like the conservatives don't like it, and SJWs don't like it, or people of the very far left don't like it. So I don't even use that. But I agree. I think and believe me, if people go through all our episodes, if you really want to, I'm sure there's something you could pin on both of us that we've said or done that could get us in trouble. But who the fuck's going to listen to that many hours of Synthaholics just to find dirt on us? I mean, you know.
They must really hate us if they're listening to that much audio. But,
I know. That's a
Brad loves this. He listened to our old episodes again. Tender Dr. Spike Potato. Man,
right. No, I don't think you and I have really varied too much on our stances on anything. I know
it's really funny.
We've talked about politics before.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
I just think it's funny that like we come down and say a lot of the same things, but you're usually slightly warmer about it than I was, even though we have similar opinions.
Yeah, I don't like to be, because you know what it is, when you create something, no matter what, a TV show, even Star Trek Discovery, I know it takes a lot of work, and there's a lot of people who put a lot of effort and heart into things. Even if it's not to my liking, I still realize that somebody's worked real hard and put a lot of heart and soul into something, and it's hard to shit on that, you know.
Yeah.
And they're getting paid for it, and you expect a higher degree for like writers and actors when they're getting paid for things rather than just a free content. But I mean, it's still somebody's put work into something. That's why I don't like to shit on it too hard, you know. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it's still like if it's not doing anything for you, it's not doing anything for you. But going back to the politics things, yeah, I agree. You got to be careful. And it's hard to talk Star Trek without getting into politics or ethics or...
I mean, Deep Space Nine is all about politics and religion. It's like very different for Star Trek, but it's also really well done.
Yeah.
Very
exactly.
I mean, because, Kai Wen, she becomes a spiritual leader, then she tries to become the governmental leader too. So she's just like she's trying to vie for all the power.
Right.
Miss Louise Fletcher.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, but yeah, I mean, I do agree it does age badly. But I mean, I've never tried to say anything about the representation. I don't mind the representation. I think representation good, and it's always been in Star Trek. I just wish they'd write the stories around the stories and not around the representation. The representation should be there, has been there, should always be there. But the
I mean,
stories
the only time
need to be
wasn't
written.
totally there was probably TOS. We didn't, but it's hard to get in the mindset of that time because it was 1960s. You wouldn't have an openly gay person on TV at the time, and it wasn't fair. But was where, I mean, the first interracial kiss happened there. I mean, that's how far back things were. I mean, that's how backwards people's mindset was. So, yeah, I don't know, whatever. You know, we are all progressing. We are all a work in progress, and society is as well. And hopefully, you know, in 10 years from now, Trek will be even more progressive and more inclusive, and so will our thinking. You know,
Yeah,
that's all I can.
I just wish it was there without them like pandering to it, because I feel like I feel like they were pandering to it in Discovery and in Picard and everything, and they're not I don't know. It's just not including it like in a natural way. It always felt kind of forced and like ham-fisted instead of just like being there. And the story being about everything else happening, it's like the story had to be about that for that episode.
Well, and if I can bring
kinda
up a sore subject is, you know, when you talked about that very last scene of Picard and Raffi 7 and 9 holding hands, like they're in a relationship, and you're like, where did this start? And people jumped on your throat that you're like a homophobe. And he's like, I'm not a homophobe.
I just wanted to see romance. I wanted to see the story.
Give me that story. If something's happening, let me know. You know, like all of a sudden it's like they're a relationship, or where did that come from?
I mean, the only time they spoke was when she was putting the handcuffs on her, and then all of a sudden they're a couple. Like,
well, you know, the handcuffs.
I mean, it must have been really fun for Seven, I guess.
But I mean, yeah, that's where I get that's not, you're not trying to get into like there shouldn't be representation of lesbian or gay relationships. It's just like, why did that just get shown and there's nothing else? And maybe we'll see something in season 2.
Maybe. I would love to. So I would love to see the lead up. I would love to see them flirt. I'd love to see whatever. I mean, it's.
But knowing the writers, they probably won't even address it. Or it'll just be like,
or they'll be broken up by the time season 2 starts. It'll be stupid. Like, I don't know. I just hate, you know, they just throw stuff in and they don't care about the lead up. I don't know. It's just, I just feel bad because she got thrown in with Chakotay for no reason other than a supposed dare from Robert Beltran. So I mean, like, I just feel bad for her that she's been thrown into 2 romances with no lead up or anything. At least Chakotay had said more than 2 words to her before they were together. They were mostly mean because he hated her.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know.
That was a weird relationship.
I mean, it just doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I just want to see progression. I want to see you know, I don't hate anything. I just want to see lead up, progression, story, character development. Like, just forcing something to happen, even because we didn't know anything about Raffi. She was apparently married to a man because she had a son. I mean, it was implied that Seven had a relationship with Bajazel,
or something of that nature.
I mean, it was implied to be a sexual relationship, and I was fine with that. I did not complain about that. But just all of a sudden, she's with Raffi. I'm like, why? Show me them flirting. Show me them like building an interest in each other. I can't think of a scene they were together other than the handcuff episode before they started holding hands.
Yeah.
I mean, I might be wrong.
I agree. Yeah.
But I don't remember any interaction between them really.
There's so much I blotted out from Picard, so I don't remember a lot.
Force it out of my head.
Yeah, I know, right?
Let's see. I totally agree with waiting until something either is over or at least until the season before you try to review it. It prevents a lot of speculation, gives you time to really formulate your opinions and watch the show a few times and make a well-informed opinion. Watching the show then giving a review right afterwards is always going to have a skewed opinion. I hated The Fifth Element the first time I saw it, walked out of the theater thinking it was the worst thing I'd ever seen. And I can definitely say I was wrong in that opinion. I was just wrong about that, in my opinion, that I had time to think about the movie. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, there are, like, you know, sometimes first reactions aren't always the best, but
when I first saw The Big Lebowski, I thought it was the stupidest movie I ever saw. And then the second time, I was laughing my balls off at it. I thought it was the funniest thing I ever saw. So, yeah, I get it. Sometimes you see things and you're just like, ugh, what is this?
I mean, I've watched season 1 and 2 of Discovery over again, and I don't think I could do it with 3.
Yeah, right. I think if you had time to watch the whole season, and put all the pieces together and say, oh, I like this or I didn't like this or whatever. At least there's more to go on.
Yeah,
because
I think a lot of our speculation just ends up being meaningless when we talk about Discovery because they just never go anywhere that makes sense. So it's just like...
Because we get excited for certain things. Like, oh, maybe they're going to go in this. Or like, remember the burn we thought might have had to do with... the
Omega particle or something.
The Omega particle or something like that. We there's all sorts of speculation. And then we're like, oh, it's a Kelpian screaming. Okay.
Okay. Well, that's a thing. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's just... I think it'll be definitely easier talking about it, not getting our hopes up, since we'll have seen a lot of it before we've discussed it. So I think that'll help a lot too, going forward. So I definitely agree that that's going to be a more solid way going forward, at least with Discovery and Picard. 5, try to record more than one episode at a time. If you follow that format and keep your episodes a little over an hour time, you could turn a couple of episodes at a time. You could even have a couple banked so you can save some time off as needed.
We did that for a while. We had always a backup episode.
We did for a little bit, and then
in case something happened, and sooner or later one of us got sick or something happened that we couldn't make it. And
we burnt the Bank episode and then never got back to it. Although we did record the Dune episodes always right after, so we did Dune and Star Trek back to back when we were doing that, but we were also releasing them the same day as well.
Right.
Let's see. The We Hate Movies podcast actually has seasons and takes the summer off, either playing live shows they recorded on the road, past best of episodes, or even their exclusive Patreon content over the last few weeks. Is there a lost Synthaholics episode none of us have heard? No, actually, no. Trek Cast, one podcast I listened to for a long time, maybe one a podcast, like their second or third episode was like this lost episode that was never like recovered or whatever, and they joked about it all the time. But
there was one with me and Holly that we did a Doctor Who episode, and the whole thing got like scrubbed, and we had to redo it, or I can't remember even how we ended up. But Holly and you were gone for some reason. I can't remember.
I was probably in Virginia with Kaylee or something.
But we talked Doctor Who episode, and I forgot which one it was, and it just, the whole file got corrupted, nothing worked. I tried to recreate it, and we tried to rework it, and it just, so we lost it. So there was one episode, I know for sure.
Okay, so it was just an episode I was not involved in. As far as I know, all the episodes came out for the ones I worked on.
Yeah. And did any of the ones get the files corrupted or anything? I can't remember.
No, I mean, we just had some like really rough recordings with Larry Nemechek a couple of times with just cutting in and out. Right. That one of those interviews took like 10 hours to edit.
Oh my god, I remember. Yeah. Jesus.
Let's see. So unfortunately, there is no secret lost episode that we can release during the break. Let's see. 6, try crossover with a few more shows. I'd love to hear both of you on Trek Ranks or Trek Geeks. I was on Trek Geeks once, and we had Bill Smith. I had Bill Smith on to talk about Star Trek 5 at one point in the past. I think we called it Sexy Potato Chip Time or something like that because
with Bill Smith, right?
Yeah, Sexy Potato. Yeah, because Scotty and Uhura had the weird potato chip bags, and they were like flirting with each other, and then it never came up again in the rest of the movie.
Yep.
And then how about some sponsorship?
And then you were on Trek Geeks. Yeah, you were on Trek Geeks once. Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I was just like they typically do like they have a guest on to kind of moderate their like See It or Skip It episodes. I was on one of the See It or Skip It's.
That was a good episode. I remember listening to it.
Yeah. Let's see. How about a sponsorship? I know you like being independent, but Simply Safe, Hymns, and NordVPN are actually pretty good products, and promoting them is not selling out. If I can keep the lights on, keep paying for those awesome images we keep making for each episode. The Tenet one was awesome. Go ahead. We'll still listen. I want a T-shirt. He said I still want a T-shirt. Yeah, that Tenet one was awesome, Aaron. Aaron's been knocking out of the park with some of the cover art lately. I did the cover art for the first like 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Aaron's taken over.
A T-shirt. I have thought about that. If we go further, and I don't know how we're going to rebrand or what we're going to do, but we should think about T-shirts. We should think about all sorts of stuff. to give out to fans. There's lots of stuff we need to do, more engagement with fan engagement, and I agree with you there. And it's difficult sometimes because you're so like I guess I'm always trying to figure out how to represent ourselves, our identity, and now that we're moving away from Star Trek purely, maybe we can do something a little more broadly, sci-fi-ish or something like that. So,
yeah. Let's see. 8, get on the YouTube survey and polls before they fix it. It's a great way to get exposure out there.
What's that? I don't even know what that is.
He says this thing Brit explains a lot. He linked a YouTube thing. I can send that to you. And then 8, and then I'm sorry, 9. He says, finally, passion, passion, passion. Your last 2 episodes have been amazing. You're really knocking it out of the park. You both had a lot to talk about, and were not against any time limit, and it showed. In particular, the jokes have been funnier. You've both done a great job. Your passion is really showing what you're doing because you do what you want and not what you have to do. The best example is making content out of inspiration and not obligation. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau made The Mandalorian out of inspiration. Rise of Skywalker was made of obligation. I rest my case.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, like, it was a lot of fun, and Stuart also like brought up some funny things, which were I mean, like a lot of how my humor works is like if there's something funny in the episode I could riff off of, or something funny Aaron said or so I guess said I can riff off of, and Stuart gave me a couple of springboards like 2 episodes ago, so that was a lot of fun. And Tenet was really fun too.
Tenet was fun to talk about. It was just a great idea and great to talk about. Yeah, but thank you for that. And yeah, I mean, obviously we have a hard time talking about like the new Trek because we are disappointed in it, and we don't want to be that. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah,
I really don't.
I don't want to hate Star Trek. It just hasn't hit the mark for us, and it's just kind of taking the wind out of our sails because we were so excited about it. Then it's just like nothing's striking me on an emotional level that's like hitting me in the feels like a good Star Trek episode normally would.
It's not igniting my imagination and all that stuff. So yeah, I want something like that. And when we watch Tenet, is it a perfect movie? No, but man, it makes you think, and it ignites your imagination, and it gets you thinking about stuff, and makes you like, and I love that when we talk about a certain Star Trek episode, or we're talking about a movie, or so yeah. I mean, that's why I get excited, and I don't know. We gotta hit those. Turn the ignition again, or something like that. To get moving. So it's difficult, and moving away from just talking Discovery or Picard or whatever else, I think that will help. I think we need to get into other things and be jazzed about what we're talking about. So I agree, 120%.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the email, Brad. I'm not gonna go into the rest of it, but thank you so much for emailing us all that. It was a long email. You always put like your heart and soul into these extremely long emails and have some very great points. And
no, I love it. That's awesome.
Definitely be taking them to heart. And yeah, passion's a big thing. And I think that's why we want to take a step back, because it's the new episode of Star Trek has kind of taken the wind out of our sails, taken some of the passion away. We want to talk about things that we are passionate about, so the episodes are more exciting, funnier, and just more pleasant to listen to, I think. Or I hope, for you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to have something that we're talking about, something that's going to engage you, either make you laugh, make you think about things, or just just purely be entertaining. So I enjoy, those are the things I enjoy. So if I listen to something and it makes me laugh, or I think there's information that's like new to me, that or some thought that it evokes something, that's what I get excited about. So so I'm hoping that we can get that more back into our episodes. So
yeah, so do I. I'm really excited about getting into stuff that I'm like way more passionate about, because I mean, like, I'd love to get back into the Expanse, and I think also we want to just avoid going into the granular single episodes. Maybe we'll do one here or there, but like maybe do more chunks of seasons of shows, talk about it in general, because I think that might also be a little bit of a drag, just being as granular as we've been. So maybe going more broad will help things be a little bit more interesting going forward.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, man. So, 300th episode. Man, when we started this, Dave, I couldn't even think that we'd even be this far ahead. You know?
Yeah, I know, right?
It's hard to think that at some point that, like, oh God, did we do the first episode at my house?
Yeah.
All right. And we were just sort of like, okay, you had all that equipment that you just bought. And,
you're like, what are you doing in my house with all this stuff?
There's just so much stuff, and we're setting it up and trying to make it work right. And then we're like, okay. And then there's just like how do you? It's weird because when
I took over his kitchen table. It was you couldn't see the table anymore.
Yeah, that's right. All the wires and a spaghetti mess of wires and machinery. But, it's like when you're doing a podcast, what you don't realize is that it's a conversation, but it's got to flow, and it's got to be when you talk to anybody, you're not really thinking that anybody might be listening, or hundreds of people might be listening. So, like, you get kind of a little nervous, like maybe some butterflies. And I mean, we shed that probably by the second or third episode. But the first couple episodes, we were just like,
Well, I mean, the second episode was also like talking about Leonard Nimoy passing, like, ugh, what a gut punch.
Was back then. Yeah,
it was just like, holy shit, it was just like, I mean, I was at work and I found out, and like I was like really big in the Warp 11, and I was listening to Beam Me Up to Heaven. I heard it was like the last song I listened to, like in my car on the way to work that day. And then like I heard Leonard Nimoy died, and I was just like, I was heartbroken. Like I cried at work a little bit, just sad. Cause I mean, he was part of my life forever. I mean, like Leonard Nimoy's face is familiar as my dad's face. Like, cause Star Trek was always on our TV when I was a kid. So I mean, like,
and Leonard Nimoy is like almost the face of Trek in a lot of ways. I know there's lots of other faces, but for a long time he was almost in so many different series and the movies, and so yeah.
It's just like I grew up with his face and his voice and his his wisdom, and it's just,
and he was a gentle soul when you got to know him as an actor, and you found out about him. Did he make mistakes and stuff like that? Sure, he wasn't perfect, but
I mean, I'm not sure if I'm going to shed a tear for Shatner. I mean, I'll be sad, but it's
different. Shatner's very egotistical, and it's hard to feel bad for him because he's been so up on the top rung, and he's kind of treated people badly sometimes, and ego.
He was really mean to Red Letter Media. I don't know if you saw that.
But I remember something about that. But I mean, but he's been mean to a lot of people, and I love Shatner for the role he was. I grew up wanting to be Kirk, as a young boy. But I mean, there's something. He's just too into himself, that's for sure.
But there's just something about Leonard Nimoy that is just like the world lost something really good when he passed away.
I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so podcasting is you would think it'd be a lot. It's just simple as getting behind a mic and recording, but there's a little more to it, and
it's a lot of work. We sit here and record, and then like I go off and edit, and I put up the website, and I post, and like I spend like it's like an 8-hour day for me doing a podcast almost. So
there's a lot going on.
I do my 3 hours. I do my 3 days of work, and then go into Thursday where we record, and then I stay up and edit, and I set up the website, and I publish it, and I put it on YouTube and Facebook and whatever, and it's 3 in the morning when I'm done and finally go to bed.
And not to mention like all the stuff we have to do to prep for a show too. You watch a movie, you watch a show, and then you have to like read up on things and make sure that you're not like just talking out of turn or something like that too. So
read up on stuff or watch other videos, get other information, watch behind the scenes stuff, read Memory Alpha. a lot of prep, a lot of other work, and it's part of the reason we chose Star Trek initially is just because we were so impassioned about it. I mean, doing the work wasn't really a chore before.
No, we liked it
because we were just like so into it, and we are still so into Star Trek. But the new Star Trek, there isn't even much to find on the new Star Trek except these like articles saying, "Oh, we have the first black lead in a Star Trek show." I'm like, did you ever see Deep Space Nine?
Yeah,
or we have the first female lead. Like, did you watch Voyager?
Ever see Voyager? Yeah,
like, just they just keep all these like articles keep coming up. They're just like claiming they're the first of everything, and it's just like, I'm pretty sure you don't know other Star Treks if you think you're the first. I mean, she is a black female lead. I mean, that is a first. But,
that is a first.
But I mean, I don't know. We've had a female lead and we've had a black lead before. I mean, I guess it's a first to have being them combined, but they keep calling all these firsts that may not be fully earned. I don't know.
And I know we saw the first black female captain. I think it was in Star Trek 4.
The Saratoga. Saratoga.
Saratoga? Yeah. So
there's a Saratoga Road right near. I always think of Star Trek 4 when I go by it.
And the probe goes like, whoa, 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 whoa.
It's like I always look up for the probe when I'm by that.
No,
by that street. I start making humpback whale noises and stuff like.
And your wife's like, "What are you doing?" Nothing.
I'm just preparing.
Preparing for the probe. Yeah. So it's podcasting. It's a little more work, and we have to retool ourselves on how we were going to set up the podcast and then engage listeners again with what we're going to present with them. So, yeah.
But yeah, feel free to keep sending us ideas either on the YouTube channel. the Facebook group or email. I mean, hell, you can post comments on our YouTube channel also. I mean, I do see them and reply to them from time to time. We get some strange comments that I'm not even sure how to reply to sometimes, so I just kind of don't. But but if it's like a well thought out comment, I will typically respond to it. It may not be immediately, but I do usually get around to responding back to YouTube messages as well. So YouTube, Facebook group, Twitter. If you got ideas, I mean, I know Twitter kind of restricts how much of an idea you can pitch, but
sure,
we'll read it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So. Yeah, man, this is going to be a good time. We're going to just kind of recharge our batteries a little bit, get back into things we like, and maybe start thinking differently about what we want to present to everybody. And, like Dave said, we're not going anywhere. We're still here. We're just going to take a little break for a little bit until we present what we want to present.
Yeah, and that thing Brad was mentioning, how a show does seasons or whatever. Like maybe instead of just doing every single year, maybe do seasons. Maybe have built-in breaks. Go for
intermission.
Yeah, have intermissions every now and then. That way we can keep the show going and just have regular breaks going forward. So I mean, I think that could be very promising. So Brad, again, thank you, Brad, for the long emails. They've always been great, and suggestions are also very good.
And thank you everyone else who sent in emails and made comments and talked to us about on the Facebook group and all the stuff that when we made the announcement a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, I've had a couple people message me privately on
Yeah, that's we do appreciate it. We do appreciate it for sure.
You can still always reach out to us. I mean, we're here. Like we said, it's just we won't be taking up room on your phone every single week for a little while.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, Dave. So should we wrap up this episode and look forward to 301?
301 Dalmatians. Oh wait, no,
not that many demolitions.
Demolition Mans.
Demolition Man. That's what we'll talk about. Well, guys, until next time, we're excited to talk more about all sorts of things with sci-fi and fiction and other big ideas to go explore. And we really appreciate everyone for downloading and listening and just becoming part of this community. I mean, we've met so many cool people, and we've talked to so many new people. It's been great. I mean, this podcast has opened a lot of doors to us that we didn't think was possible.
I mean, I technically met my wife because of the podcast, so.
Oh yeah, he kind of did, right?
Because I met,
in a roundabout way.
Yeah, because I went to a convention with my recorder and was interested in talking to other podcasters, and met Holly through another podcaster that we knew, and then Holly's friend was my wife. Well, she wasn't my wife then, but she's my wife now. So I mean, like, roundabout way, like, because I did podcasting and did the convention circuit, that's how I met my wife. It's really incredible. And then also just emails from you guys, hearing that you guys listen and appreciate what we do is, moving. And I'm glad you enjoy what we do, those of you who are listening. And, we've just, because we are a podcast, we've had the opportunity to, we talked with Walter Koenig. We talked with, people from Star Trek Continues. We spoke with Nichelle Nichols. We hung out and like sort of had a drink with J.G. Hertzler at a con, and he recorded with us and talked with us. I got to meet Aaron Gray and Tony Todd and try to get a little bit of time to record with them for our podcast. I mean, like, doing this has opened up doors for me, and being able to like meet people and do the conventions, and it's just been great, and it's been a great experience, and I hope it's come through in the show for you guys. And yeah, we don't get a ton of interviews anymore, but maybe we can do more of that in the future.
Right. And we've been so focused on the new episodes coming out, so maybe we can start thinking more about that in the future, and thinking of other ways we can explore ideas and have good conversations like we have from the past.
But I mean, also just with COVID, no conventions. I mean, usually there's at least one person we can interview at a convention, and voice to voice, face to face, and bring it to you guys in the show. But with COVID, no conventions, it's
hard.
It's been restrictive in that way too, because I mean, instead of just trying to do online hookups with people to try to get them to come on the show, they're there, I'm there, I've got my handheld recorder, let's go talk. So I mean, it's pretty exactly. It's great to have the convention circuit, and it's just sucky that COVID has made gathering in groups like impossible, or just not frequent, and most conventions, as far as I know, still aren't going to be happening this year, just from what I've been hearing.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be very, very weird, and hopefully someday we can get back to normal. But yeah, man, been great. It's been great, and I'm looking forward to in the future getting back in the saddle and doing all this, and talking again, and engaging with everybody again. So, but yes, like I said, we're not going away forever, just for a bit.
A vacation, an after 300 episode vacation, almost 6 years.
Yeah, exactly. Right. All right, guys. Well, as always, you can hit us up at our emails at synthaholic@yahoo.com. Our Twitter handle is Synthaholic Duo. You can find us there. You can hit us up on our Facebook group, Facebook.com/groups/Synthaholics. And our Patreon is Patreon.com/Synthaholics. If you want to donate to us there. And, just hit us up. Let us know what any ideas, any favorite memories, anything that you want to you would like to hear us cover. I mean, just hit us up, either Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. I mean,
hell, if we have enough emails, like during the break, we could just do an entire listener email episode.
Yeah, that would be cool too.
I mean, because we've been talking about this one email for like 30 minutes now. So
well, it was an in-depth email. Oh yeah, for sure.
It was a long email, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, if we had enough emails, we could do an entire, reading what you guys have to say. I mean, I actually really enjoyed listening to those kind of episodes on Trekcast, the really old Star Trek podcast I used to listen to all the time.
Sure. So, yeah,
those were always kind of fun to hear them interact with their listeners. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed doing that with you guys. So I mean, the more emails we have, we could do a whole podcast on that if you wanted to, if we have enough. So It's up to you guys.
Awesome. All right, guys. Until we come back, stay safe, have fun, and live long and prosper, one and all.
Well, McCoy, my boy, come mix me a drink. Before the night's over, I'll puke in the sink, and we'll cry till we laugh, and we'll both shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend I ever had.
Goodbye, cruel world. Getting the bathtub warmed up.
Oh no! Throw the toaster in.
Toaster.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Oh, 300.
300.
I'll have to decide how I'm gonna depict the.
Kaylee didn't like the movie. She didn't like that one either.
It's weird. I mean, I understand it's more of just a complete,
It's a farce. It's a farce on history. I mean, she spent half the movie just like reading up on what actually happened at the battle because it's a very simplistic
view of what happened, and it's not really true.
It's not true to history at all. But it's a visually arresting movie, and
the comic book they kept really, really similar to the comic, like the style. So that was cool too.
I mean, the movie was so visually arresting. Like, I mean, I saw 300 in the movie theater, and like watching it again, like it was still so visually stunning. I was still impressed with that movie, and I wished I was watching it on the big screen again. Tenet, like I thought it was just fine on a regular TV. Like I didn't long to see it on a big screen. I didn't think it was that impressive.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, there's something about the way 300 was shot that I just, man, just seeing it on the big screen was just beautiful. Maybe it was the slow motion. I don't know what, but it was just, man, that movie's beautiful. Beautifully done. I really like the way the movie looks.
I don't know, man. I understand that it might not be your cup of tea,
Oh yeah, I mean it's not like a cinematic masterpiece, but I mean I just thought it's like at least it's a fun, visually arresting action movie.
Mm-hmm.
But hell, she's loving Deep Space Nine, like I said, which is pretty awesome. I'm glad I'm glad she's liking that. Except she's liking it too much. She's watching it without me sometimes. I'm like, I want to watch it too. Because I mean, like I'm just craving good Star Trek since Discovery's been so bad. I'm just like, oh man, this is so good. She likes Quark. She likes Quark the best. Quark and Garrick.
I mean, those are great characters, so don't get around that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, we finally saw our first Moogie episode the other day, and she's like, I don't like Moogie. She's mean to Quark. And I'm like, oh, really?